Hello, I'm back again, and I've got another favourite things for you today. And the favourite thing I shall be reviewing today is one of my favourite biopic films of recent times, and that is Milk. Okay, why does one start with Milk? I mean, perhaps I should start with the premise, for example. Um, so let me think. How to describe it? So Milk is, as mentioned, a biopic film. It's about the life of Harvey Milk, who was the first openly gay major political figure in U.S. History. He was the first elected openly gay official, well, in San Francisco back in the 1960s. He's and he was quite a remarkable figure by all accounts. He was an incredibly driven man. He saw the ill treatment that the gay community in his area were going through. He saw the fact he was outraged by the fact that perfectly normal shop owners who just happened to be homosexual suffered discrimination. They suffered few rights compared to their straight counterparts. And he got really annoyed just by the false myths and misguided beliefs that many outspoken anti-gay politicians at the time were sprouting around nationally, and about the numerous anti-homosexual laws that were being passed in state to state. And he took a stance against this. He decided if you couldn't fight against the system, you had to join the system and change it from within. So he educated himself. He cleaned himself up from being this relaxed individual or to being someone that was suited and booted. He campaigned fiercely several times and eventually secured the votes from the local people to become an elected councillor on the board of officials for San Francisco City Council. And then from there he used his position not just on behalf of his constituents, but to serve as an example on not just a local scale but on a national scale. And this movie is a celebration about his life and the efforts that he made up to the unfortunate point where he was murdered, along with the mayor of San Francisco, by one of the other councillors who lost his position. He blamed Milk. He blamed Milk not rightly for it, but by this point he'd just gone crazy, this ex-councillor, and he took a loaded weapon into the town hall and he murdered both Harvey Milk and the mayor. And just, yeah, it was shocking. I was not aware of this when before the movie. You see, I'd heard about how great this film was, and my friend was lucky enough to have press tickets to go and see it, and he invited me along. Sat down. I was captivated during the entire film, watching it, and then I was just horrified. I was shocked that these events had happened. That someone who had selfishly worked hard to help secure the rights of many had their life senselessly cut short by this deranged individual. The deranged individual was arrested, but he was charged with a lesser degree of what was it? It's not manslaughter. Is it manslaughter? No, it's basically his lawyers argued that he had been suffering a chemical imbalance, which meant he was not thinking straight. So, is it manslaughter when someone? Oh, I'm just trying to think here. I'm really sorry that my review has been interrupted by a little mental glitch. Sorry. 1 second. Let me just double check. But basically, his lawyers acquitted him, and on the fact that the lawyers didn't acquit him. Yes, sorry, it is manslaughter. His lawyers argued that basically he committed manslaughter because he wasn't thinking straight, and he was not charged really severely at all for his crime. He only got a few years compared to a life sentence for murder. And that led to huge citywide scale riots, the White Night riots, um, within San Francisco. And yeah, I mean, that's just how event changing, how just how, you know, Milk's life was. And this is a biopic based on the events of Milk's life from the time he leaves New York, when he accepted himself in later life as a homosexual man. He met his lover Scott whilst in New York. They moved to San Francisco so they could be a couple together, and it followed their relationship, the ending of it during Milk's political career, and the events and lives of the people around him. Sean Penn, who played Harvey Milk in this film, phenomenal actor. You could feel he. I watched videos of Milk's speeches and other things online since then, and looking back on it now, the similarities between Milk and Sean Penn were, it's almost uncanny. He really did do a lot of research himself in order to mimic how Harvey Milk acted and was in real life. James Franco as Scott, Harvey's lover, again, phenomenal actor. Emile Hirsch as a young political activist that was mentored by Milk, again, brilliant. I think the main thing I need to stress here about this film, a lot of my review was about the kind of background and my personal feelings and opinions on the situations, events that surrounded Milk. It is kind of integral to the actual movie, since the movie is all about the events of Milk's life. I think the main thing I need to stress here is the simple fact that I love this movie because it was based on historical events that occurred. The fact that I was learning a great deal about the history of LGBT rights, about this very important figurehead of the movement in the past, and just other little bits and pieces. There was archive footage of police recordings of police raids that were spliced into the movie at certain parts. There was recordings of interviews with people from back in the 1960s. So, archive footage from back then was put into the movie. So it gave it a great authentic feel. And another great thing was the fact that a number of the people, the individuals from back then, got involved in the production of this movie. They came onto set. They related their thoughts about what happened at the time. They related events again from their perspectives of what happened, and some of them actually came to mentor the young actors that were playing their young selves in the film, and gave them a real sense of what they were like at the time. It's just brilliant. It's really rare to see a proper Hollywood production of a famous young gay politician, a famous gay political figure like Milk. I think there's nothing more really I could say to it than stressing the fact that if you're heterosexual or homosexual, from wherever you come from, this is a really interesting film. And the fact is, you could totally buy into the film due to the sheer factual nature of it. They don't leave anything out. Harvey Milk made mistakes. They don't cover that up in the film. They openly discuss and talk about it. And it really gives you a proper look into this man, his life, his character. And personally, I feel that, like I said, this is one of the best biopics I've actually ever seen. And I heartily recommend it for anyone that wants to see a good biopic at the end of the day. Okay, so yeah, that's just my thoughts on Milk, starring Sean Penn and James Franco. I shall leave it there and then. If you've seen the movie, if you loved it or you hated it, let me know. Or if you want me to do a review on other gay movies, I know there's a few there's a lot of gay movies out there. I know there's a few that are good quality that are worth discussing. But I shall love and leave it there and talk to you guys soon. Bye. Where's the pause? Stop.